restored this plane, or brightened it up, using only water and a bit of wet and dry. In this video, I'll show you how you can sharpen the blade if you've got a particular machine, or if not, how to use it just on a stone. And again, just using water and keeping with the brief that it has to be clean, it has to be no smell, no mess and no noise. That's pretty well restored and back together. However, the blade needs a bit of a tickle, so I'll sharpen the blade up. And to sharpen it, what I'll do is get out the smaller version of the Tormic that I have in the Woodworking Masterclass workshop, which is a T8. This one is its little brother, which is a T4, and in all honesty, it would be all that you would need if you're in a small woodworking situation. And it's always a good idea if you've got a sponge, just in case you spill a bit of water around the place. Get a texter, just mark the edge. That way you can tell exactly what's going on, if it's grinding square, and everything's all good. Pop this in here. That's now set. We turn on and do some grinding. Couple of passes and all that texture has been removed. I can feel the wire on the back, so I know it's done. Now, you can finish the entire sharpening process by using the honing wheel and put a secondary bevel and everything on it. But if you haven't got one of these beaut little machines, I'll show you how to do it on a Waterstone. Now this one I got from Japanese Tools Australia. It's 1000 grit. It's got a little water reservoir in there, so you can keep your stone wet when you're not using it. And I use a little squirt bottle, sponge. Actually what I'll do, I'll grab that Tormic tray, and this is just an excellent little idea, because if you're doing something that's wet and it's messy, it's going to stay there. It won't go over your bench, it won't go on the floor, and it's much easier to keep things clean. Okay, so where I got to before when I finished with the T4, it had a burr on the blade. Now bear in mind, if you've got that machine, this process you don't have to do. That machine will do everything I'm going to do here, but I'm demonstrating this in case you either don't want, haven't got, can't afford, whatever, a T4, and you just want to use Waterstones. Now the reason I chose Waterstones is because I'm working in-house, in a bedroom, and I don't want to use kerosene, I don't want to use WD-40, I don't want to have the air full of toxic, noxious, smelly fumes, and my wife doesn't want it either. So part of the deal was I had to be eco-friendly, so this is why I'm using Waterstones instead of oil stones. And as you saw, the Tormic is water as well. So, bit of water, you take that burr that was on the blade off the stone. Now how I do that is I rock my body. I don't use arm movements like that. Now by rocking my body, I'm maintaining the same angle, which might not seem so important when you're doing the back, but believe me, when you turn it over and do the front, if I'm rocking like that, that's staying in the same plane. If I'm using my arms, I actually change that angle. What you can do, if you like, you can use one of these, which is just a little honing jig. Personally, I don't like using them on Waterstones because it's got a metal wheel on it and it'll wear the Waterstone. So I just go by eye, and the little trick is, when you put your blade down, you'll fill your primary bevel and it'll be parallel to the stone. And in fact, there's a little bit, you see a little bit of discoloration as soon as you hit that tip, the very tip of that blade. And then I just pick it up a couple of mil from there, and that's going to be my secondary bevel. And I do 3 passes. I use the whole stone, and then I've got a very, very, very fine burr there. I take the burr out, Do the same thing, find that edge, kick it up a couple of degrees or a couple of mil, and I do 2 passes. Feel for the burr, take the burr off, then I'll do 1 pass. Find it, kick it, 1 up, 1 down. Very, very, almost imperceptible. And then I take that off. Now in many cases that could be enough, but I like honing all my blades, and you'll notice the Tormek had a honing wheel on it, which I would normally use, but in this situation we'll just use the stone and leather strop. Now you can buy them online or you can buy them in shops, so you can make one yourself. Get a piece of timber, put a bit of suede or a bit of hide on there, and from what I'm told there's no difference between the shiny side or the furry side of the hide. And pop that in the vise, grab the blade and give it just a couple of licks. It doesn't need much, but you'll find it'll just put that extra little bit of zing into your blade, and we'll see how good we are. Now to me, that's sharp. And you should have a bin, just like me, and that can go in there. Then we'll put this away. We'll put this into the plane, and we'll see how it actually works. Right, so at the end of the video, we now have this block plane sharp and put together and ready to use. And in the last of this series, the 3rd video, I'll show you how we can put it to use. I make a nice chopping board or cheese board only using hand tools. And even the finish I put on there isn't a liquid based oil at all. So again, there's no mess and no fuss.